So hi, welcome to this podcast. I'm Shane,
I'm Glory.
and we're here with
Seamus from My Fictions.
there were some questions today about the upcoming album Touch of Glass. So congrats on that, by the way. How do you feel about the response to the announcement so far?
Thank you very much. I feel great. It's been a very positive reaction. Been getting a lot of good feedback, and we're really excited to be putting out this record. We feel very proud of it. It's definitely the most energized that we've been about a new release in quite some time. So we're all very excited.
Hell yeah, the album
Hell
fucking
yeah.
rips.
Oh
Thank
my
you
God,
so
it's
much.
fucking brutal. Yeah, I
Thank
loved
you.
it.
Thank you
hmm
both.
Of
Hell yeah.
course.
So can you tell us a little bit about your writing process for the album?
Yeah. So for this album, it all kind of came together over the course of the last year and a half where we were meeting up once a week. The three of us were getting together and coming up with riffs that Tyler, our guitar player, put together. He would bring us a new idea for a song. We would meet up in my basement, kind of flush out some ideas based around what he already started with the riff that he kind of presents to the group, and then we each put our own spin and our personal flavor on the song. So that's kind of how the majority of the My Fiction songs get written. It all starts with a riff that comes from Tyler, and then the rest of us come together and um, you know try to make it a fully formed My Fiction song by adding our own personal taste.
Gotcha. So it's collaborative. Like each song is very collaborative.
Certainly. Yeah, it's definitely the writing process is collaborative, as is the recording process for us, where we're all recording together and everybody kind of has an open flow of communication to toss out their ideas on everybody else's parts. And yeah, it's definitely a very collaborative effort.
That's great. Hell yeah.
Good to hear. Yeah. So, what song off the album took longest to write, and which one is your personal favorite?
My personal favorite is Touch of Glass, which is one of the singles that just came out today.
Mhm.
It's
hmm
definitely the heaviest song we've ever written. Uh, it it was pretty, I think it was one of the last songs that we actually finished before going into record. But it's definitely the furthest departure from what a My Fiction song typically is, where this song is really down tuned, much slower, a lot more open, and typically a lot of our music is much more chaotic and fast paced and and violent sounding. Where this song was definitely way more open
hmm
and and had a little bit more groove. So that was probably I wouldn't say it was easy to write it, but I feel like once we kind of committed to the idea that this song was going to sound a little different than everything else on the record, it really started to come together. So that's probably my favorite song on the record, and it came out today. Actually, the record's coming out tomorrow, but that was our last single that we put out today.
Yeah,
Hell yeah.
wonderful. And do you know which song possibly took the longest, or do you know any songs that you personally struggled with?
None of them really took the longest. I'd say that I feel like if we're really not clicking on a
Mhm.
song, or it feels like there's a roadblock, we definitely don't push it. So
Okay.
if it's not an organic flow and we're all together in the writing process, and something just feels like we're trying to fit something in that's not natural, we usually just, hey, put it to the side and maybe we'll pick back up on it, and
Mhm.
we'll treat it as like an idea that we can elaborate on in the future. But the record, all in all, was really a natural writing process for us.
Gotcha.
Gotcha. And you said you guys came together once a week to kind of write this album. So is it kind of, if we don't get the song done by the end of the day, it's out, it's back on the shelf? Or is it kind of you give it a week, a month?
It's probably not that rigid. Like there are songs where we definitely take longer than others, and it's not, like if like we set the timer and at the end of 2 hours, like that's all we can do.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's one of those things that we really we were writing the record probably for like stints of like 3 hours at a time, because all of
Mhm.
us have jobs during the day, and this is a passion project for us. So
Yeah.
when we get together at around 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, usually we play for like 3, maybe 4 hours at the most. So
Mhm.
um And for me personally, I feel like it's kind of hard to focus and maybe get the most out of the writing session if we're stretching it beyond 3.5, 4 hours. It's like
Mm.
everybody's tired and like we're not getting the most out of it, I feel like. So the flow was definitely us yeah, getting together for a few hours and really being fully energized to dive into writing new music together.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So how did the track list for your album come about? Did you guys write the opener be the opener, close be a closer, shuffle around and see what fits? What was that process like?
We just finished the record, and then after we tracked everything, we decided what the what the track listing would be.
Oh,
So once the songs were done and finished, we put the tracks in order.
oh
So
wow.
what was that process? Just based on vibes, or did you guys have any sort of preconceived ideas?
I was not really involved in it. Brian typically spearheads that, and I know
Mhm.
Tyler and Brian are probably the most involved in the song, in the song listing and the album sequencing.
Gotcha.
Gotcha. No worries. So would you be able to tell us where your headspace is at while you're creating this record?
Very energized to be playing music with my friends.
Yay.
That's really where my head was at
Mhm.
throughout the writing process. Was I was really excited to be working on music and and investing in our creative output as the
Mhm.
band, like as us as four friends, and I think it's really an exciting thing to do, given that we've been at it for as many years as we have. We've been a
Mhm.
band since, in some capacity, since 2007, give
Mhm.
or take, like around that time. So the fact that we're still at it and we're still doing it and energized was really exciting for me,
Mhm.
and I was just happy that we were working on new tunes.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's refreshing to hear because we get so much about like the negative side of things, which obviously a lot of art breeds from that.
Mhm.
But it's always refreshing to hear like I was just having fucking fun. We were having
Yeah,
a fucking blast. No
I
one
love
was
my
like,
friends.
yeah, no one
yeah,
was uber depressed or anything like that.
yeah. Like
Yeah.
just trying to be realistic. That's where my headspace was. But
Yeah.
again, I'm the drummer. Maybe if I had to go in and write lyrics,
Mhm.
or I had to maybe put myself in that headspace, it would be a
Mhm.
little bit different.
Yeah.
But because when we go into writing a record, we're just trying to think of the most authentic and innovative parts that we
Mhm.
can come up with. It was really a lot of positivity, I feel like, and energy to get together and just and make a great record.
Hell yeah,
Good.
love it.
Mhm.
So how do you recommend your fans to listen to this album for the first time? Should you do in the car with friends and dark with headphones on? Is workout album, party album? What do you personally recommend?
All of the above. No, I don't know. Maybe like maybe workout album. There's definitely
Mhm.
some heavier parts. Um yeah, I mean the way that I typically listen to it is I'll put isolation headphones on and listen to it as loud as I possibly can.
Yeah.
Um and that's usually where I enjoy music the most. So I would definitely recommend that for anybody that wants to check this one out.
Fuck yeah. Me
Hell yeah.
too. Me too. So this one should be super, super quick. Off the top of your head, I want you to describe this album for new listeners in 3 words. No more, no less.
Visceral, groovy, and authentic.
Ooh,
Those are good.
wonderful.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
And in that same train of thought, is there a certain feeling or emotion you want listeners to have while going through the album?
I want them to be present with the record. My goal would be to make a record where people can lose themselves in the entire record from beginning to end
Mhm.
and enjoy the entire experience and appreciate it as a piece of art, um, as a whole. And that's not to say, like, obviously there are records where there are a couple of my favorite songs that I find myself revisiting to, but I
Mhm.
but I think in what my goal is for what we created, I really would love to think that we made a great work of of art, I guess, that
Mhm.
that can stand on its own from beginning to end.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Love it.
Wonderful. And are you able to touch on any particularly challenging or standout moments during the creation of this album, positive or negative?
Positive would be it felt like we kind of went outside of our comfort zone in the actual recording process of this record.
Mhm.
My Fictions typically records our own music, and we've I think only once before we've worked with an engineer that hasn't been in the band. So the
Okay.
fact that we went to a friend of ours to record the record, we went to engineer producer Chris Teddy at Silver Bullet Studio. Um, the fact that we were working with somebody that we had an appreciation for their art and the music that they made, it was really cool to have um another person involved in the record,
Hmm.
which we typically just don't do as a band. So it felt unique to our model and the way that we usually make music together. Uh,
Mhm.
so that was a positive. In terms of a negative side of it, I feel like, again, with us all having other stuff going on in life, it's
Mhm.
tough to commit a lot of time to the recording process. So I think we tracked the whole record in 3 or 4 days.
God
I
damn.
could be
Shit.
I could be wrong, but I know it was really quick.
Mhm.
Uh, it was really quick, and I don't think we sacrificed anything by doing that. I'm really happy with how it came out, but when you're under the gun like that and you
Mhm.
have to do it right, and you can't, dilly-dally and take as much time as maybe other recording sessions have in the past,
Mhm.
it definitely adds a sense of urgency. I'd say that's kind of tough for recording drums. I know it's tough for vocals,
Mhm.
um, but yeah, that was probably the biggest hurdle that we had to overcome with making this record.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah,
classified as that.
absolutely. Yeah. Now, obviously, you mentioned a lot of your stuff has been self-produced. One of the first times you're working with a producer outside of that. Is there one that you guys, or you in particular, prefer, like working within the band or working with someone outside of the band?
I had a great time recording with the last person that we did with Chris.
Mhm.
It was an incredible experience, especially with somebody that gets our band and
Mhm.
gets our music. I enjoy both, and I think that we in the future we'll probably work with more people because I think it's it's always nice to have an outsider's perspective or somebody that's not as inside of the song as the people that write it.
Mhm.
So having somebody else to give feedback or encourage you to try something else or encourage you to be more creative or even just play something better is
Yeah.
is is really good. So I like both, and honestly, we'll probably continue to do both ways.
Hell yeah, because
Fuck
one
yeah.
way is cost effective, the other one isn't all the time. So
Yeah, absolutely. And on this last record, because we were putting it out on a label, we could make it work where we worked with somebody outside of the band. But it's also really fun just to have an idea and to have a new song that we've come up with and having the flexibility to just press play at our own
Mhm.
little studio setup and now have a pretty good sounding recording method where we can just crank through songs when we feel inspired to do so.
Yeah.
absolutely. Oh yeah.
Makes sense.
So for this question, I want you to picture you're on tour. You're at a gas station for a rest stop. What is your snack of choice?
Well, I'm definitely at Bucky's.
Okay.
Mhm.
Um, Beef jerky. If I'm at Bucky's, probably beef jerky because they have a
Solid.
million options.
Okay. What
Um,
choice out of the billion? Like what flavor are you going for?
what choice out of the billion? Probably something spicy teriyaki.
Ooh, dope.
Spicy teriyaki.
Mhm.
If I'm at Bucky's, if I'm at Sheets or Wawa, I mean, man, so many options.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm probably getting like a sandwich from the kiosk that they have there, like a disgusting greasy sandwich.
The cold sandwiches?
Have you ever been to Sheets or Wawa?
I go to Wawa frequently.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
probably like one of the mozzarella stick like chicken melt sandwiches.
One of
Yeah.
the crazy combinations.
Yeah, where you're
Yeah.
just pressing buttons on the screen.
Yeah. You know what? Maybe I gotta try it. I gotta try it. I've never heard of that. That's fucking crazy. All right.
Yeah,
And on the topic of food, if the band was a dish, what dish would the band be and why?
we would probably be um we would probably be something like an impossible burger because three of us or two of us are vegan. So we definitely get down with vegan cuisine. We'd probably be some form of impossible meat, I'd have to say.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Fuck yeah.
And for the last couple questions, going to shift completely away from music and go straight to death row.
Boom.
So if you're on death row, what would your last meal be with drink?
Great question. Me, probably a beef shawarma.
Okay.
And for a drink, man, I'm trying to think what would be good with a beef shawarma. Chocolate milkshake? No, that's disgusting.
Whoa.
I
Okay.
like both things. So I guess like what does it matter? Yeah, a beef shawarma and a chocolate milkshake.
All right. I fucking love shawarma. That's a great choice. Yeah. Hell yeah. And if you could live in one,
Actually saying that sounds absolutely disgusting, but
yeah.
it's the first thing that comes to mind.
You know what? It's your last meal. You know, why the fuck not? Right?
I don't have to suffer the consequences of that.
Exactly. And if you could live in one fictional world for a week, where would you live?
I would probably live somewhere in the Harry Potter universe.
Mm-hmm.
I was a big Harry Potter fan growing up, so I'd
Mm-hmm.
probably have to kind of relive my childhood and find myself at Hogwarts.
Yeah. Fuck yeah. Do you know what house you are?
Slytherin.
Slytherin.
Yeah.
Dope. Yeah, respect. That's fair. Mhm.
Hell yeah. And I've done as the last question. Every single person that we've spoken to have said that it is the most important question. What's your favorite color?
Red.
Specific shade of red.
Maroon.
I could have guessed
Fuck
by
yeah.
the shirt.
By the shirt,
Deep
yeah.
red. Oh yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. So as I said, that's all the questions you have today. Is there anything that you would like to plug?
Touch of Glass coming out August 23rd on 1126 Records. Check it out on Spotify or check us out on Instagram, Facebook, My Fictions Band. And thank you both for taking the time to chat with me today.
Of course. Well, thank you for now. It's been Seamus from My Fictions, and we have been the Good Noise Podcast.